Even as Iran edges closer to a formal peace deal with its adversaries, Tehran is clearly keeping its finger firmly on the trigger. Decades of mistrust toward the United States and Israel have convinced Iran's leadership that only indigenous missile power can guarantee its survival. New disclosures reveal how Iran methodically expanded its missile inventory year after year, pouring resources into domestic production lines. From crude battlefield rockets in the 1980s to sophisticated, multi-warhead systems today, Iran's ballistic missile history tells the story of a state that steadily transformed itself into one of the Middle East's most formidable missile powers. Since June 2025, Iran has fought two high-intensity conflicts against Israel and the United States, leaning heavily on its missile arsenal to strike back, project power across the region, and compensate for weaknesses in its conventional forces. Today, Iran's arsenal includes multi-warhead ballistic missiles, maneuvering re-entry vehicles designed to evade interception, and even claimed hypersonic glide vehicles, giving Tehran a diverse toolkit to threaten bases and fleets far beyond its borders. What stands out is the sharp contrast between Iran's robust, fast-growing missile stockpile and its far more modest naval and air forces, underscoring a deliberate strategy to rely on asymmetric missile power rather than expensive, vulnerable platforms. According to a posthumous report, slain IRGC aerospace commander Amir Ali Hajizadeh had already explained the logic behind Iran's missile priorities, outlining why Tehran poured its limited resources into rockets instead of fighter jets or large warships. Hajizadeh shared these insights in a lengthy interview, reportedly filmed shortly before his death in June 2025, offering a rare, candid look at Iran's long-term thinking on deterrence, technology, and warfighting doctrine. Iran began seriously developing its missile program in the 1980s, in the aftermath of the Iran-Iraq War, when devastating Iraqi strikes convinced Tehran that it needed long-range, indigenous firepower that could not be cut off by sanctions or embargoes. Hajizadeh said, and I quote, "In the field of armaments, during the years after the Iran-Iraq War, Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei encouraged self-sufficiency, indigenization, and standing on our own feet, but this is just one issue. But the question of which path to take, which weapons to indigenize, and how to do so, is a crucial matter. We needed to choose the right direction well. For example, over the past 30 years, perhaps. Starting from 1984, especially in the missile field, we see this emphasis consistently across different years." Unquote. Iran's first serious step into the ballistic missile arena came when it procured North Korea's Hwasong-5 and Hwasong-6 systems, using these imported designs as the starting point for its own long-range strike capabilities. Over time, Tehran began buying more Korean technology and components, eventually using that know-how to launch domestic production lines that could turn foreign blueprints into locally built missiles. Reports suggest that thousands of North Korean missile specialists spend extended periods in Iran, working side by side with Iranian engineers to troubleshoot designs, train crews, and accelerate the maturation of Iran's missile programs. These foreign experts also helped Iran design and fortify underground bunkers and hardened sites for its missile and nuclear-related infrastructure, making it far harder for any air campaign to wipe out Tehran's strategic assets in a single blow. Those deep, hardened facilities proved crucial during recent wars with Israel and the United States, allowing Iran to keep firing salvos even under heavy bombardment and to sustain its missile capabilities over weeks of combat. Hajizadeh argued that investing in ballistic missiles had delivered far better results for Iran than trying to build a modern air force, because missiles were cheaper, harder to intercept, and less dependent on access to foreign technology and spare parts. Hajizadeh said, and I quote, "If we had followed the path taken by the rest of the world, where both the East and West primarily pursued offensive weaponry through aircraft development. If we followed the path of the world, who have now reached, for example, fifth-generation fighter aircraft, we would likely still have been struggling at around the third generation." What does that mean? It means that whatever we did, we would always be behind them, with a lag of 50 years. But instead of falling behind the enemy and never being able to catch up, we chose a path that has now placed us face to face with them. Meaning, while we did pursue a threat-based approach in response to the danger we faced, we also developed capabilities that could effectively counter those threats. Unquote. Taken together, these choices form a classic asymmetric investment strategy, where Iran accepted weakness in conventional areas in order to build up a powerful, cost-effective missile deterrent. Crippling Western sanctions and limited cash flow forced Tehran to be selective, pushing it to concentrate scarce funds on missiles and underground infrastructure instead of expensive aircraft fleets or blue-water naval ambitions. The wars of June 2025 and February 2026 became the first true large-scale tests of Iran's missile program in real combat, showcasing both the strengths and limits of decades of investment in rockets, launchers, and hardened sites. US and Israeli forces spent 40 days pounding the mountains around Yazd in central Iran, trying to break open one of Tehran's most important buried missile projects. Their main target was a deeply buried missile complex carved into granite, designed to protect Iran's launchers and stockpiles from exactly this kind of sustained air campaign. Despite the intense bombardment, Iran kept launching missiles right up until the ceasefire, signaling that its core strike capability remained operational under fire. Washington later claimed the strikes caused major damage, but Iranian officials countered that the heart of their missile force had survived and remained ready. Iranian sources said the Yazd complex extended roughly 500 meters into the surrounding granite mountains, giving its tunnel substantial natural protection. Airstrikes reportedly damaged tunnel entrances and surface infrastructure, but failed to shut down operations for long, as crews worked to restore access. US intelligence assessments concluded that Iran retained about 70% of its missile launchers even after weeks of attacks. Those same estimates suggested Tehran also kept around 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile, limiting the strategic impact of the campaign. Western diplomats said Iran appeared to have preserved a significant share of its missile capabilities, complicating any claim of a decisive Western victory. Residents in parts of western Iran reported seeing and hearing missile launches resuming just hours after some of the heaviest airstrikes. Experts argued that Iran's dispersed and hardened network succeeded in preserving enough assets to fight future rounds of conflict if needed. Evidence from the war indicated that Iran was able to rapidly reopen or repair damaged missile sites, restoring many facilities to service in short order. The Revolutionary Guards claimed Iran is closely monitoring enemy movements and remains fully aware of developments across the region. Iran said its military remains prepared for any scenario and is ready to react immediately to potential threats. The IRGC claimed recent events have strengthened Iran's military posture and enhanced its deterrence capabilities. Tehran warned that any future attack or miscalculation by its adversaries would trigger a swift and forceful retaliation. IRGC statement read, and I quote, "Today, the Islamic Republic of Iran, drawing on the valuable experiences of the sacred defense and the historic battles of the 12-day and 40-day imposed wars, stands in a stronger, more prepared, and more deterrent position than ever before. With full awareness of the enemy front's movements, we remain with fingers on the trigger, ready to deliver a decisive, immediate, painful, and regret-inducing response to any threat, aggression, encroachment, or potential miscalculation by the enemy." Unquote. The IRGC said its adversaries misjudged Iran's capabilities and failed to achieve their objectives during the conflict.